I know you love me. No, I know you love me, and you know I love you. So I'm on lunch. Hey, talk to you later. Bye. Like, it's okay.
No,
but
no.
You knew you had said something that kind of did irk me, and so. But
exactly, you didn't get to that point. The fact that I said something that kind of irked him, and then he wanted to be like, okay, bye, and I'm like, no.
So it wasn't.
Well, welcome to Couples Unscripted.
Yeah, this is the episode of Misunderstandings in relationships. And, sometimes, two people have two different viewpoint on things, and you can have certain misunderstandings or...
Yeah, I feel like it happens all the time. We're always going back and forth, this dude. So we got 5 reasons why misunderstandings happen in a relationship, starting with poor listening skills, disrespecting your partner's feelings, compatibility, assumptions, and always claiming to be right. So we're going to be touching on those 5. Before we jump into it, we're going to play a little game called The Sweet, The Sour, and The Truth.
The sweet when it comes to Ayana Ashley.
I'm sweet.
You check in, like you actually check in, and you actually be like, hey babe, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Like, you actually care about my feelings. You actually try to be in tune and acknowledge what I may go through, And I like the fact when you realize, like, yo, you've been wrapped up in, like, talking about yourself, and you hit a pause, and you be like, hey babe, forget about that. How's your day been? Like, because I know you are actively, making sure to check in on me. So that's something that's really sweet. The sour. Oh, I mean, you can be a Sour Patch Kid,
Maybe.
For sure. A sour thing about...
But they're so craveable, right? Can't get enough.
You can't, yeah. I feel like you keep one more, I like to pop one more, The sour about you. I would say, man, you think you always right. You think you always right. You Mrs. Right. And even when you're wrong, you still claim to be right sometimes. So it was like, okay.
I'd be having valid points, but...
and wrong. So it's like, cool. All right. And the truth. You a handy woman. You will put some shit up real quick. Shelving, tables, chairs. If it's something within the house and like some DIY type of stuff, like, you gonna do it. You gonna paint it. You gonna sand it. You gonna knock it out. Now, when it comes to doing something outside the house, you ain't about it.
But inside the house, baby, that's my thing.
Yeah, that's a little interior decorator on the low. Like, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I see you.
Our house is cute.
Yeah, it got a nice vibe, nice.
Yeah, nice I like to do a lot of DIYs.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
about me, yeah, the sweet, the sour, and the truth.
The sweet, the sour, and the truth for Niles. What's sweet is when he comes home, he always embraces me. He gives me 3 kisses. I don't know. We have a thing with 3. Like, we'd be kissing 3 times.
3.
It's cute. And he always wants to, like, just embrace and hug me and just hug each other and just, like, connect. He has had a long day. It's nice. I think that's really sweet that he does. He is extremely consistent in doing that. So it's not like he does that and stops. Like, he continuously does that all the time. So it's beautiful. The sour, I'm going to say...
Me? It's tough, ain't it? Ain't no sour. Ain't that sour about me.
I feel like, okay, I have a sour. When I'm particular and I want to do something like go out to a restaurant or get some takeout food that might be a little far away, he throws a little tizzy and he'd be sour as hell. He'd be like, I don't want to do that. No, like, but when he gets there, he has a really good time. So he be kind of sour in the beginning of trying to, like, when I try to get him to do something, when it's like we got to go out and do something that's like was not planned.
Yeah, out the way.
Out the way. He'd be really upset.
I don't be upset.
You don't be upset, but you'd be like, man, she doing too much.
Cause it has to be
She'd
doing
be a
too
little
much.
sour. So
Yeah, she be doing too much.
But when we get there, he be having a good time.
It's still outlandish.
Listen, whatever. The truth is, Niles does all the laundry in this house. I do not do laundry.
Wash them clothes.
Not because I want him to do it, just because I really hate laundry. Niles does all the laundry.
Yeah. Because I don't like seeing the laundry. I like, look.
No.
If you ain't stuff it or wash it,
Right.
Figure it out. So I'll wash it real quick. So, okay.
But yeah, that's what we got for, the sweet, the sour, and the truth.
The sweet, the sour, the truth.
And we gonna get right into misunderstandings in relationships.
Yes.
Starting with poor listening skills.
Poor listening skills.
I feel like you have to have active listening skills in a relationship. Now, listening skills have been something that I've had to work on. It's a skill. My dad used to say, you got to listen, stop talking, don't think about what you're going to say, and actually take it in and listen. So with Niles, in the beginning, I was not very good with listening. I wasn't horrible. We had our own things going on, but I feel like I needed to listen more. I still need to listen a little bit more. Yeah. But I've gotten better at listening to exactly what he's saying, internalizing that, and then when he's finished saying what he needs to say and getting out his feelings, and I come back and say something. But I feel like, if you do have poor listening skills and you are just responding and you're not letting your partner get it out, then there's going to be a lot of misunderstandings because you're going to miss the things that they say. Mm-hmm. And also, when we were in therapy, I remember our therapist saying, what did Niles say? And I was like, oh, this is, am I doing active skills? Like, do I have active listening skills? Because now is my time to say whatever he said. And summarize what you said. And I think I did. I did a good job.
Yeah, you definitely have gotten better at being more attentive with your listening. And I think same like you said with me, my listening skills would vary because I didn't have the ability. I'm not good at multitasking. So when Ayana talking, I'm doing something. I don't know what she's saying, So I make sure, I just give her my undivided attention and I pay attention to her and I, like, all right, what are you saying? Because if I'm doing something else, I'm watching TV or whatever, like I'm not really hearing what you're saying. So
One track mind
for sure. But so yeah, that definitely have made things easier and lessen any misunderstandings that we have because we do listen to each other and when you don't listen to someone, your partner can feel disrespected. That'll lead us to the second one. Because people's feelings are sometimes confiding and talking. So maybe your partner in the moment is really trying to confess something and be open and be honest and vulnerable. And in that moment, you wasn't actively listening. And like, dang, they may take it, personal. And it's not really, a shot at them. So you definitely got to be, mindful of that, in regards to having misunderstanding relationship, like in the role you may play in that. Like if you are someone who lack the listening skills and there's an argument and your partner may be saying, you're not hearing me, you're not listening to me. Take a moment and think about it because maybe you're really not listening to what they're trying to say or maybe you missed something because your mind wandered somewhere else because it happens. We're humans.
Just slow down with how you're going to communicate with your partner and give them that safe environment to want to express themselves. And then that will create, respecting your partner.
And I think we good. From my vantage point, I think I feel comfortable in saying I give Ayana the safe space to actually express herself. So that can eliminate a lot of misunderstandings. You can come in and you can honestly speak to me and talk to me and let me know how you're feeling. And I'm going to hear you and listen to you and going to pay attention to. So I think that's very important and major, in our relationship to help us avoid having misunderstandings. Yeah, and then you also allow me to be vulnerable too sometimes, which is important, and it helps shape our relationship as we got through things, because I could be vulnerable with you, and I can trust that in a moment to be vulnerable with you, and that changed a lot of possible misunderstandings that you may have had in regards to our conversations or how I may have been acting or moving. You're like, oh no, just let me give him the space to kind of flesh it out, talk about it in his own way. And I think when you heard me, it kind of clicked sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I guess it just depends on like where that safe space is. And I know sometimes we've been in the bedroom and then said, let's decompress, or tell me how your day was, or is there something that you want to recap for the week
or the day?
Like we've done that probably like it wasn't multiple times a week, but it was sometimes a week where
we'll do a check-in.
Yeah,
yes.
And where we checked in on each other's feelings, and maybe I have to tell you something or bring something up that I've been feeling, so you can
find the time.
Find the time
that works best for y'all, when you know that you are comfortable and ready to have that conversation, and you also know your partner is. So that's very important. And that leads to the third one, being compatible with your partner, because maybe you can't ever find the time. There's always a misunderstanding. They never is active listening. They are disrespecting your feelings. Like, you have to understand, like, yo, do we have the similar mindset? Do we have share the same values? Like, are we in this together? Is my 5-year goal, do it align with your 5-year goal? I think that's very important to figure out in a relationship.
Yeah, I know for us, when we got into a relationship, we had similar values, similar mindset, similar interests, and we wanted the same things. We wanted a family. We wanted to travel. Like, we had the same, religious background, and how we feel about religion was the same. So I think that's really important, because, and you can have different backgrounds, or you guys can feel differently on topics, but it's overall, how can you guys work together within those, different things that you guys are dealing with, or you feel maybe differently than I do, but we can come together. So I feel like we did a really good job about that, because we came in like, you are like, we are like you like the same things I like we have similar sense of humor. Like,
we quirky.
We're quirky. Like, we're fun.
Definitely fun. Yeah.
So definitely understand your partner's values. They value family life. Do they want children? Like,
and you can see those
do they
things.
want, some people want money, like a lot of money.
Yes.
And then some people just are fine with their, living
in their, what they have,
within
what
their
they have.
means.
And people have to stop trying to kid themselves. You can figure these things out early. Like, if you know what your values are, you can actively assess someone else's values and see if it matches with yours, and if they stand up. And so don't waver on your values. Like, yo, that's how a lot of misunderstandings continue happening, because y'all values are not aligned. Y'all do not have the similar interests. So you have to identify that and move on. But even in that, having the compatibility, maybe y'all are compatible, and you realize, like, yo, we got the same thing in common. We do like the same thing, but something ain't clicking. Maybe you led with an assumption into this conversation, or into the argument or the disagreement, and making an assumption with the saying, make an ass out of you.
Yeah, you make an ass out of you.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
Assumptions, you have to try to avoid them.
Like, people have specific instincts, and I know spidey senses, but sometimes the spidey senses are not.
They can be off.
Until you get all of the information.
Yes.
And ask the right questions. You don't need to be doing all that assuming. And listen, I've done a lot of assuming. Like, I think that he thinks that. I'm more of like a feelings type of person with, assuming how he feels about the situation and less about you doing something. I don't assume you're doing anything you're not supposed to do. And I know people have issues with that in the relationship. They're assuming that he's with somebody else, or he's assuming that, they're assuming that they're cheating.
The worst, usually. Sometimes.
For the worst, some people.
They assume the worst, unfortunately, of their partner, which you shouldn't do. Like, why are you with someone and you assume the worst? Like, that's a reflection on you.
Well, I mean, if they're doing something, then I understand, the assumption. I mean, if you think that they're doing something, that's still assuming that. That's still assuming. But if you have concrete evidence.
That's
but
different.
I think for what I was saying was like, for me specifically, it's more I'm assuming that he feels
I feel a way or
angry or in a mood towards me because of my instinct. Or he got off the phone and he didn't say I love you, so I'm assuming he's upset with me.
Yeah.
Because you always say you love me on the phone, and that did happen.
But
I didn't think you were upset, but I do that because I feel like I said something that kind of annoyed you a little bit, and then you kind of are like, you get over the conversation.
But so let me say this real quick. There are many times we have gotten off the phone and you have not said it because you're on the phone with someone else or whatever the case. I know you love me. No, I know you love me, and you know I love you. So I'm on lunch. Hey, talk to you later. Bye. Like, it's okay.
No.
But
no.
You knew you had said something that kind of did irk me, and so. But
exactly, you didn't get to that point. The fact that I said something that kind of irked him, and then he wanted to be like, okay, bye, and I'm like, no.
So it wasn't that cut and dry though. It wasn't like, okay, bye,
whatever you
talked,
said.
And then finally the conversation came to an end because I still was on my lunch and I had to finish my lunch. I'm like, all right, and you was doing what you were doing.
Yeah, but I know you don't do that unless you don't like the situation. We're so alike in so many different ways, and then there are other times when I don't understand how I'm still learning how he processes information and how he processes like his day, and I always want a specific energy from Niles, and I know that that's not fair because he can feel how he wants to feel. Anyone can feel how they want to feel, but there's something where Niles has this really good energy about him, where he's always like, he comes in, he's really nice and he's really positive and he's really like uplifting. And then when that energy shifts, I'd be like, what's going on? But he won't really say much. He'll kind of just like decompress and get into his own, flow of how he's going to come home and how he's going to handle the day. And I'm like, even though he will embrace me.
Yeah.
He will embrace me, but I be feeling energy shifts.
But it's not an energy shift. I just walked in the door. So it's not you have an expectation of my energy.
I do have an expectation.
I think that's what it is. But sometimes, the day of work, it gets you. It'd be a long day. But I do understand that level of expectation or that energy that you do like from me. And I actually appreciate it. But some days I ain't got it, or I just need 15 minutes. Like I said today, I came home and I'm like, babe, I just need 15 minutes. I went in there, took off my clothes, relaxed for a second. Probably about 15, 20 minutes max, if that. Came back down in the room and we was connecting again. So it could have been more, if I was like, hey, I know you really want to tell me what's going on in regards to the show, in regards to other things that she working on. But I'm like, yo, I just had a long day. Just give me 15 minutes. Let me decompress. Yeah. Give me some time to myself. Because for me to ride home, ain't still time. Atlanta traffic is stressful, So cars on fire. Shoot, people whipping in and out of the lanes. Georgia State Patrol zooming up on me, zooming back. Like, it's stressful. So when I get home, I'm like, all right, I can finally relax a little bit.
You can finally decompress.
Decompress some. In regards to assumption, in relationship, you should allow time to process what's going on and truly find out the story before you truly assume and take, go full-fledged into what you feel, because sometimes we are wrong. Mm-hmm. Like we're not always right, and your assumption can be right, but it also more than likely probably wrong, especially if it's a healthy relationship and y'all normally are really, really well and something just happened. So to assume the worst or just assume something because you have a feeling, you want to get some evidence to back up that feeling before you actually kind of like
yeah. And
go
I
through with
think,
it.
and that kind of goes back to everything, like
Mm-hmm.
disrespecting your partner's feelings, poor listening skills, like compatibility. Like if you're feeling that you have an assumption about your partner doing something or whatever it is, if there's an assumption that you feel,
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation.
Yes.
People lack and are afraid to have conversations because they are afraid of the outcome. No, you have to say how you feel, but you have to create that safe space, and you can't come in with all this animosity and all of this anger or built up confusion. Like, have a conversation, but don't disrespect anybody within this conversation. Or you can even tell them, I need to have a conversation with you. I'm feeling some way, but I want to create, a space that's going to work for both of us, because I don't want us to get worked up.
Because I want to be heard and I want to hear you.
Right.
And you can't go into it, our last point, in thinking you're right, and you can't be someone who is always right. Sorry, not sorry. There's a lot of y'all out here who think everything you say is the gospel and it's the law. You're wrong.
Is he talking about me?
You're wrong. It's just not always about you. You're not always right. So you have to just be honest with yourself and be like, okay, I could be wrong in it. I could have overstepped.
That's important.
And I need to take the accountability to rectify the situation, because if I don't, we're going to continue to have this misunderstanding, which can lead to further
misunderstandings.
Yes, which could lead to resentment and anger, and just it can ruin a relationship.
Lying. I just thought about, like, when you have these assumptions and then you go into a conversation, you don't come in being right, but if they're just trying to have a conversation with you, like, don't be lying.
Don't
be lying about how you feel or like what actually is going on with you.
That's when you had an opportunity.
Because once you lie, it's over.
Hey, you gotta keep lying. You have to keep lying. Look, the
and
truth
then y'all
will
are
set
just
you
gonna
free.
have to,
it's a bad situation after that.
Because
Because when you do the lies, you lose clarity. And one major thing to help fix misunderstanding is having a sense of clarity in your relationship. Being able to talk things out and have a clear picture on what's going on. That's how you can remove any misunderstanding. And having patience, allow your partner to express themselves, go through whatever it is they got to go through without you assuming and jump to conclusion and thinking the worst, of the situation, because it may not be exactly that.
Don't always claim to be right.
Yeah, you can't always claim to be right. You
Even though Niall said that I always think I'm right with the sour.
I mean, that's crazy how I lined up.
Wow,
like,
did it come full circle?
I mean, I didn't plan it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Oh gosh. To avoid misunderstandings in relationships, make sure that you have patience, love, and understanding within each other. Have patience. Make sure there's some type of love, and understand your partner.
Yeah.
I think that's the top 3 for me, that are really important.
Yeah, I think those are very important to help avoid misunderstanding. I think I like the patience. I mean, I like everything you said. You definitely need to be understanding. You love your partner, of course. And just, like, you can't think you're always right. You don't assume. I think those things are really important. And I also think, like we said, ensuring that if you're compatible with your partner, if they're always, like we said earlier, if there's always misunderstandings, there's always a disconnect, something just not right, it's on you to take that kind of look in and be like, yo, this ain't it. We ain't meant for each other. I might like it here. You may have some really high highs, but if your lows are lows and it's bad, you have to be honest with yourself and honest with your relationship and your partner and not stay in it. But if things are good and y'all hit a rough patch, take a step back, hit a reset button, to try to realign. If you have the same values, if you, you have this similar mindset, go back to those things that kind of drew you in together. And I think that can help overcome the misunderstandings that you may have in relationships. Misunderstandings will happen, but they should be more minor things over major things.
Yeah, they should be more minor over major
We shouldn't have a
things,
misunderstanding on like wanting to have a child.
Yeah, and that's we went over the values.
Yeah.
Of course, you shouldn't have those types of
Those-
misunderstandings 2 years into the relationship. Like
That's
you've got to
ridiculous.
set that up
Set
if you
it
want to
up.
be with that person
Yeah.
long term.
So
And
closed mouths don't get fed.
set your relationship up for success instead of for failure.
Period.
And when you come in the beginning with being truthful and saying, this is what I expect, this is what I want, this is what I expect out of this relationship, you are
Don't
going to have
waver.
less misunderstandings.
Don't waver in it. Don't lower the bar. If that's what the expectation you put out there, put it out there, fellas. Set the bar. Have expectations for your partner. Tell them like, hey, I need to be able to talk to you, and you not, even though you may have emotions, not getting emotional in the moment when I'm talking to you. And also on the other end, when your partner, when she may come and speak to you and tell you things, like when you come to tell me things, I have to understand sometimes like, I have to take my logic type of mindset out and my solution mindset out, because you're not always coming to me seeking that solution.
Yeah,
You
I'm
wanna-
just coming to vent and to tell you my feelings
Yes.
and what I'm going through.
And so the misunderstanding I may think like, oh, Mr. A, correct it. No, that's not what you're seeking. You just want to vent. And so it's both, both parties have to understand the role they play in the misunderstanding of the relationship.
And just remember that you guys are on the same team.
Same team. There's not a competition.
And you guys are here to work together and build a really good relationship.
Yeah. So if you want it, you got it.
And we're always gonna have misunderstandings in
Yes.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are gonna be high. Sometimes I can handle it for the day. Sometimes I'm going through things. Maybe you have more things going on than I do. Like it's always gonna be an ebbs and flow
Yep.
when it comes to the relationships. We are two different things. We are
Coming together.
two different people. I have my own things I'm going on and doing in my life, and you do as well. But we always come together and have our own similar goals. But just breathe,
Yep.
work together, be patient, and if y'all love each other, then y'all make it work.
Yeah, find a way to make it work. Give each other grace and realign. Y'all, we should be all right after that.
And realign. But
Yeah.
we thank you guys so much for tuning in
Yes,
and
thank
listening.
you.
Please subscribe to our YouTube page, Couples Unscripted, our Instagram, Facebook, and you can also find us on all streaming podcast platforms.
Yes, and we are not licensed professionals. We are just two happily married couples who are just out here, just want to talk about relationships
we
and
are
give you our honest.
we are definitely not licensed
No, nothing-
professionals,
yeah.
but we are just here to talk about our experiences and what has worked for us, and
And what didn't work for us too.
Yeah,
so.
what didn't work for us. Like obviously, I'm still, I guess I'm still trying to not be right. Working on not always being right, and then working on my listening skills. So I always have something to work on.
Same
And I
here.
just know that I can take, the patience, love, and understanding to account, and I can add that and take that into my relationship, creating a safe space and being honest and truthful with my feelings. And I think that has helped us with a lot of our misunderstandings. So just continuing those steps, because it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep.
And is that the right saying?
Yeah, it's a marathon. Not a
Okay.
sprint. Yeah, you're right.
And
And
you just have to keep going. I think throughout our relationship, like I have grown and I came in with a different mindset than I have today. And sometimes when I'm super moody or I'm in my shit, I know I'm kind of like projecting my feelings onto Niles, but it's like, okay, wait, let me come back because I'm not doing the work that I had said that I was going to continue to do. I need to like get back on
get
that.
back on it
And apologize. So sometimes I see myself doing something and I'm like, let me apologize to him because I'm actually being fucked up right now.
And that help erase the misunderstanding or things that
Right.
may have a loss of clarity.
Because sometimes you're in your own head, and
Yeah.
I might be like, oh, we need to get this, or I need to do this, or like, you know, I work in an industry where my job is not very stable. So there's times where I might have this stress that Niles doesn't have, and then I might project that on to him. So we just, you know,
being mindful.
You got to be mindful, and you just got to keep working. But I love this man, so we're going to continue to work.
Hey, we will. And I love her. So look, thank y'all again for tuning in to Couples Unscripted. Our misunderstanding in relationships. You know.
And we will see you on the next episode.
Yes, we will.
All right. Thank you.